On today's episode, your October update for World's Toughest Mudder from Kyle McLaughlin, the CEO of Tough Mudder. This is the World's Toughest Podcast. Welcome to the World's Toughest Podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's World's Toughest Mudder. Each week, we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the World's Toughest Podcast. Welcome back to World's Toughest Podcast. Thank you for listening. My name is Will Hicks. You're listening to the number one rated obstacle course racing podcast in the world. Thank you. Today on our show, Kyle McLaughlin, the CEO of Tough Mudder. Kyle came back on the show to talk about the big news dump. It sounds like a crass term, but it's a ton of info about World's Toughest Mudder 2019 that just got released today. Very excited about it. Going to talk with Kyle in just a few minutes. You can email me at willhicks@gmail.com. You can follow the show on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook by searching for World's Toughest Podcast. And you should follow the OCR report on Instagram if you want information about the entire world of obstacle course racing, not just Tough Mudder. There are race results, there are pictures, there is discussion. Check out the OCR report on Instagram. Shout out to Kim DeVos for crushing it for us over there. And you can be a part of the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. Just click the purple podcast button on your iPhone or iOS device, search for World's Toughest Podcast, tap our logo, scroll down, and click Write a Review. And I will read it on a future episode. And then you can come up to me at World's Toughest Mudder and say, "Hey, Will, it's me. I left you a review." And I will say, "Thank you." And I will give you a sticker if I have one on me, because you are awesome. You make the show better. I appreciate it. I don't want to waste a lot of time. Kyle has tons of news about World's Toughest Mudder. Here's a few tidbits. Sneak preview. You can pick your pit spot online, like you pick a seat at the movie theater or you pick a seat at a baseball game. Coach will be at the halfway point of each 5-mile loop for all 24 hours, having a DJ party, and your pit crew can meet you there and bring you food and water and lots more stuff. I don't want to waste any more time. You are not listening to this show for me. You are here to learn about World's Toughest Mudder. It's time to talk with Kyle McLaughlin, the CEO of Tough Mudder. Let's go to the phones. Kyle McLaughlin, welcome back to the show.
Will, always a pleasure.
Very excited to hear some new news about World's Toughest Mudder. This is the October update from TMHQ. Lots of info. Let's just start breaking it down. The first bit of information is about a new way to pick pit spots this year.
Yeah, so if you've been to pit load in on Friday morning in the past, you know that it's a big, kind of rush and hurry up and wait. People roll in at their check-in time, wait in line to check in, whether they're a contender or this year would have been legacy status, relay team, Holy Grail, et cetera. So we wanted to try and simplify and allow people to still be able to pick their pits in the order in which they've earned them based on status, but have a bit more of a streamlined process when they actually get to site Friday morning, particularly for people that are traveling in from a decent distance away or flying in. We don't want them to be able to miss out on their pit because of travel arrangements.
So they'll be able to pick their pit spot online, kind of like you pick a seat for a movie theater.
Exactly. So when they'll get a unique code based on their status to sign in to an online portal that'll display the pit map ahead of time. And they'll be able to pick a specific pit spot, reserve that for them. And if they've got other people who are sharing their pit spot with them, to be able to enter their names and log that in there as well. And then when you arrive to site on Friday morning to check in, you won't have a specific time to come anymore that's based on your status. So you'll be able to come at a time that's convenient for you, check in, pick up your bib, and then your pit space will be labeled with your name on it.
So there's different dates that are available based on your status as a contender or as a legacy, which is a new thing for this year. We should probably review that. But when do the pit spots open up for the first people?
Yeah, so the last two toughest of the year, last two opportunities for you to earn contender status are the weekend of the 19th and 20th in Australia and in Las Vegas. So following that, we will confirm contender status to everybody who's eligible by October 22nd, which is the Tuesday following those two events. Most people who've earned it at some point throughout the year have already received confirmation. There's a tracker that's gone out as part of today's update as well that will include, for those who've earned contender status through the normal way, and people have applied for contender waiver, they will find out on or before the 22nd as well. And then 2 days later, October 24th, contender pit selection will be available, and they will have 4 days to pick their pit space before we open it up to the 5-year legacy. So they can pick after their window if they want, but there'll be more people competing for the same spaces.
So the 5-year legacy people, October 28th, and then Halloween is when the Holy Grail winners or potential winners for this year can apply. Or
we figured that was a fitting date for the Holy Grail Skeleton Cup there.
So you mentioned sharing pit spots. Say I am a contender and I am sharing a pit spot with a general admission runner. I can get my spot on October 24th. I can put my partner, my running buddy, his name on there. Can he get to the spot? Like he's basically gets the same privileges or access as I would have?
Yeah. So the person with the highest status should pick the pit spot, and then they can add up to 3 other people to their pit if they want to. So a maximum of 4 people per pit.
What if someone doesn't go online and pick their pit spot? What happens to them when they show up?
Well, we will pick a pit spot for them so if you have not selected a pit by November 8th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, we will pick one for you, and then you'll receive a confirmation of what pit spot you've been assigned. And then when you arrive on site, if you want to move that pit spot, we'll have 2 pit concierge desks that will be open on Friday and Saturday morning, where you'll be able to swap into pits based on what we have available.
You mentioned contender status. We talked about it a lot. The big update coming out has more information on contender status. Is there anything new in contender status that we haven't talked about before?
No, it's pretty similar to what we've had in years past. So, 75 miles at Worlds last year, the, qualification methods from toughest this year, or Legionnaire status of 50 plus reached by Worlds 2019. So there are a small handful of people who are going to hit their 50 plus Legionnaire status in SoCal or in Atlanta, right up leading into Worlds. So, those people should apply for a contender waiver if they haven't already, to make sure that we've got them captured.
Has there ever been a discussion about having a exemption for past champions?
A waiver for past champions?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do offer waivers for past podium finishers and others who have applied through there based on past performance that maybe have been inactive for a few years, and we're intending to grant contender status to all those people.
Okay. So
if you're asking about Amelia, she's got contender status for this year.
Not specifically, but if she had the same color bib as I did, I'd be surprised. So I was like, well, all right. There's some new stuff with spectators this year. There's kind of 3 classes or 3 groups of non-runners. What are those 3 groups?
Yeah, so pit crew and spectator have always existed. Spectator's frankly been a little bit of a wild, wild west before. We've traditionally only done spectator tickets on site. And just based on the way that the area was designed, some people made it through registration, some did not. And it's really from our perspective, we need to be able to know who we have on site and make sure that we can accurately track all those people and provide toilets for them and amenities and that they sign the waiver, et cetera. So if you've got pit crew, up to 4 per athlete, they register through the pit crew system, $35 per person. They get the pit crew, identification, and they will be the only people besides participants that are allowed into the pit. And based on the feedback that we've gotten from last year and other events, the pit will be a secured area this year. So unlike the kind of wide open spot that it's been in the past, there will be a secured area with actual access control into the pit that will prevent spectators, general admission, people and other persons who don't, participate in the event or aren't a pit crew member from being able to get into the pit area. And as we talked about in the last podcast, we've opened it up to a bit more of a general admission opportunity for people that want to come and be a part of the experience, but aren't supporting an athlete or running themselves. So there's a separate campsite area adjacent to the start-finish line, kind of on the other side of the course from where the pit will be, that will house anybody who's signed up for general admission and wants to come and camp Friday, Saturday night. But if you've got local people in town or a couple people who are coming to spectate that are not supporting you in the pit, it's a really low cost, just basically enough to cover the insurance and basic things on our end. And that'll grant them spectator access at any point Friday during the day, during setup and load in, as well as from when we open at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning up until 3 p.m. on Sunday afternoon.
So spectators are $10. The general admission for community members that want to be a part of the experience, that maybe want to camp, $59. And then for the pit crew, it's $35 per person. And really, if you're running the race, you should be paying for your pit crew, just as an aside.
That's what we think as well. But, some people, I think, make their pit crew carry the burden.
You're carrying my bags already. Plus, I need $35 from you. Hey, let's talk about the awards. Tell me about the Holy Grail Mileage Leaderboard.
Yep. So up and live, and we've got that in this year. Holy Grail Tough Mudder standings are launched. These are accurate all the way up through London South, Seattle, and Dallas weekend. So they've not been updated yet for NorCal, Nashville. But we'll continue to keep these updated, usually with about a week lag time as we get further on in the season here. But you can see that Mark James is well ahead of the pack for the men, sitting at 195 miles right now. And I believe he did tougher Vegas as well, tougher NorCal. And then leading the pack for the women is Jules Estes down at 105 miles and tied with Alana, who's also sitting at 105 right now.
So the mileage for that leaderboard is 10 miles for every tougher mudder you run, and toughest mudder, however many miles you run, and then world's toughest mudder will be kind of the final number in that formula.
Correct. Yeah, and we will award Holy Grail Champion Awards, mileage standings, based on what you complete at World's Toughest Mudder this year. But if people are just trying to earn their Holy Grail Achievement Award for doing all three, Arizona and Central Florida will still count, even though they're after Worlds. If people have done it toughest in Worlds but haven't done it tougher yet.
Arizona and Central Florida are after World's Toughest this year. Will those miles count toward the 2020 Holy Grail Mileage Award?
No, we're keeping Holy Grail to within the calendar year. They'll count for 2019 Holy Grail fans.
Another award you mentioned are the Community Award nominations. Tell me about those.
Yeah, so awards that we've given out for the past couple of years, there generally has not been a public selection process for them, but wanted to open it up this year and gather nominations from the community. So we give 4 community awards based on kind of the core values of the Tough Mudder experience: teamwork, fun, personal accomplishment, and then Sean Corbell's favorite, mental grit. So we also have a tribe award that kind of recognizes an overall outstanding contribution for the year. That went to the Assist 100 Mudders group last year and can be given to a group or an individual. And then new this year, we've launched the Tough Mudder Hall of Fame. So it's kind of part of our 10th anniversary celebration. This will be more of a lifetime achievement award, people who've made really outstanding contributions to Tough Mudder over extended period of time, and people who've really changed and shaped the community and the fabric of what we do.
And how can people submit nominations for that?
Link is in the update going out today. There's a nomination form. You can nominate up to one person or one group per category, and you can submit one nomination form per person. And then there's an award selection committee that will be evaluating the nominations. The committee comprised of all of the 2018 award winners. So they'll be evaluating along with Sean and Clinton and Coach and a few of our other personalities, and we'll be announcing winners of the brunch.
Every year at World's Toughest Mudder, there seems like there's one big game change kind of event. Maybe it's the bypass obstacles or Golden Carabiner. Maybe it's Electric Avenue as an option. This year, you are adding the mid-course quick pit. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so one, I mean, the big headline for the mid-course quick pit is Coach will be out there DJing for 24 hours straight, a little bit of a mid-course dance party. But we know for a fact that a lot of pit crew and spectators are out there walking the course, trying to track their athletes and communicate with them, see what they need coming into the pit. And based on the weather last year and and some of the experience, we wanted to be able to offer one designated area where food and beverage could be supplied to athletes on course. This will be just about the mid-course point. It'll be about a mile walk from the pit area out to this location. And there'll be a specific penned-in quick pit area, just like we have, by the start-finish line, where you'll be able to receive, food and beverage assistance from your pit crew members in the event that you're looking for a mid-course pick-me-up. And it's a great spot to communicate with them as well about what you'll need when you come back into the pit as you're finishing up a lap.
So your pit crew will be able to meet you out there. They can give you food or water over a fence, probably.
Yep.
Will they be able to bring you wetsuits or change of socks, that kind of stuff?
No, it'll be limited to food and beverage only.
And they can also get more information from you. And Coach will be out there with music and speakers and doing his thing for the full 24 hours.
Full 24 hours.
I think this is a game change. I don't think the full ramifications of this have been we won't even know until it happens. I can see some unintended consequences that might make it seems like, it'll make it a little bit easier, but I think it might actually mentally be harder because you'll get in there and you're going to want to stop, you're going to visit, and you won't want to leave. It'll probably be warm. There might be heaters to keep Coach warm, and you'll say, I can stand next to this heater and warm up. I think this is a great change.
Well, and no promises, but there may or may not be contests from the stage throughout the evening where somebody can earn a carabiner.
Well, you know what? Mentally, people might say, I can quit here, right? I think there's going to be a lot of, not unintended, but unforeseen changes to the race because of this.
That's what we're counting on.
You also ask the community to share their story. You're looking for funniest or best inspiring stories to highlight. What's the thought behind that?
Well, every year we usually produce some great social media content around Worlds and a series of documentary videos, and this year will be no different. So we're looking to cast the net a little bit wider, make sure that we've heard all of the great, inspiring, hilarious stories that happen throughout the evening. So it's a general opportunity for people to kind of write in and tell us what their World's Toughest Mudder participation is based around. Are they running in honor of somebody? Is this a goal that they've set? Are they, beating the, increasing birthday every year? And we'd love to hear funny stories and other things as well. So, no promises on who gets picked, but we'll be highlighting a bunch of great athlete participant stories throughout the weekend and as part of the documentary series we'll be putting together about this year's event.
So I was looking at the Tough Mudder store the other day, and I noticed there's a new T-shirt that has the Tough Mudder pledge on the back. And this is kind of a new thing. The pledge isn't a new thing, but the shirt was new. And one of the highlighted lines is that I don't whine, kids whine. And there's a little note about Everest. And Everest has been an obstacle. I've been doing Tough Mudder since 2011, and Everest has been there every single year. Now, it's changed. It's gotten harder over the years. But for some reason this year, there's been a lot of discussion, maybe a little bit of whining about it. Tell me about Everest and whining.
Well, I think the whining was based around the fact that we have made Everest a must-complete obstacle at a handful of toughest events this year. And, there's definitely been some whining and whinging about whether that is a fair approach or not. And frankly, we can't divulge the terms of the agreement, but we have an agreement with Francis to keep him in business this year. So this was really just seen as a way of generating extra traffic for Francis. Just
so Francis has something to do overnight.
I just want to keep the guy entertained, It's easy to fall asleep up there when the foot traffic gets low on the overnight. But no, we heard the feedback. There was pretty overwhelming feedback following Twin Cities and in Dallas. So we will, we'll go with the voice of the community on this one. Everest will not be a must complete at Worlds or Vegas this year. But just be cautious of the beast that you've created, and just be prepared for that Everest penalty.
Sometimes a penalty is a long run. Sometimes I remember we used to carry a cinder block, or maybe we had a strap between our legs where we had to complete a short penalty with a kind of encumbrance. Sometimes there's an additional obstacle, like rolling up a hill under barbed wire or going through Arctic enema. What are the initial thoughts for that penalty?
Oh, well, that's one piece that we're not sharing at this point, but do know that we have engaged 2 penalty interns. They happen to be 100X plus Legionnaires who have volunteered their time to help brainstorm some of the most sadistic stuff that we've ever come up with. So maybe you'll be able to spot some of it on the hot lap on Friday afternoon. There might be some penalty things that are covered up and masked until Saturday, but be prepared.
Are these 100X Legionnaires, are they going to be running World's Toughest?
All I can say is that they're 100X Legionnaires.
Speaking of swag, let's talk about some new sweet swag. I saw the jacket. I've actually already bought one of the jackets, the Patagonia jacket. I'm kind of a sucker for a good World's Toughest Mudder jacket. I have like 4.
Yeah, you and me both now. But we have launched 2 signature items, or 3 actually signature items this year. One is the fancy sublimated T-shirt with the name shirt this year, being done by Paul Davidson's group. So we're excited to have the MDSC factory team supporting some of our merch this year. We also have launched in partnership with 511 Tactical a really cool military style modular backpack that comes customized. So you order it by the cutoff date, you'll get your name embroidered on the back, and the back of it is actually designed to receive Velcro patches, so you can affix your mileage patches and other things that you earn throughout your Tough Mudder season onto it. And then the Patagonia jacket, men's and women's version, kind of WTM customized. You can get your WTM participation status embroidered on there, and we'll do all that customization before you land on site. But keep an eye on toughmuddergear.com. We'll be launching a bunch of other exclusive World's Toughest merch kind of in batches over the next few weeks. So some exciting stuff to come.
So the first time I went to World's Toughest Mudder, I said to myself, this might be the only time I do this. I'm going to buy every piece of cool looking swag that I think I can use. And I bought like more stuff than I bought the keychains, and I bought the stickers, and I bought the patches, and all of that stuff I've lost or I've used over the years. Except I have this keychain. I'm going to show it to you when I get to World's Toughest. I can't get another one, and it's starting to like come apart and it's starting to fray. Kyle, I need a World's Toughest Mudder keychain fob.
I can't speak specifically for keychains, although I'm sure we'll have some there. So I'll put your request into the higher powers.
There's also some community news, some events that weekend, and these aren't official Team HQ events, but they're kind of community events for World's Toughest Mudder. Tell me what's going on this weekend, or World's Toughest weekend. Yeah.
So we're happy to support a lot of the stuff that the community's got going on and make sure that we've shared that with the broader group here so that people can get there. Community dinner this year that Melissa and team have put together at Wild Heaven Beer kicks off at 5. So it should give you just enough time to finish the hot lap, take a quick shower or rock up muddy. And then we'll be stopping around about 6:30 to give a race briefing and talk through some of the changes and updates for this year as well. So make sure you've RSVP'd for that via the Facebook link that we provided there. And then Champions for Charity. So, Travis and Jay have put together a GoFundMe to collect donations that will be kind of go into a pool for the podium winners to be able to make to a charity of their choice. And they've got a bunch of cool prizes that they've incorporated into that. Depending on when you make your donation, you can earn tickets for prizes. I personally am going to match the first $1,000 in donations. I believe Travis is as well. So we're looking to put together a fun charity pool. And I think this is a great community-driven effort that really speaks to the kind of ethos of what World's Toughest is all about.
The community events aren't a new thing. We've been doing them for years and years. But this is the first year that Team HQ and the community are kind of holding a joint event before the race.
Yeah, look, I mean, part of what makes World's Toughest Mudder so great is the strong community that's been built around it over the years. And there's no benefit to come with us competing on each other, for people's time and attention. So we're happy to support the great stuff that comes up from the community. And, I personally am looking forward to the bar crawl on Monday afternoon. So this is the start of a new era at Tough Mudder where the community and TMHQ really should be one kind of joint effort.
We didn't talk about it after the brunch on Monday. After the race on Monday, there's a brunch, a champions brunch, which everyone should go to. But also after that, there is called a bar crawl. And it's not because you're crawling from bar to bar. It's because you're crawling because you're so tired. Last year was the first year I went to that, and it was fun. I had a great time talking to the guys, and I'm going to go back again this year.
Yeah, you and me both. So I'm waiting on the lineup, and we'll get that published in the next November update. But looking forward to some much needed post World's Toughest celebration.
The last big bit of news is a medical update. What's the status on the neuro checks?
Well, so there's been a lot of chatter and feedback among the World's Toughest group, and we've gotten a lot of feedback from customers about what they've liked, what they've been concerned about in the past. So taking all of that into approach, and as I've said here before, Molly Kemmons has been a huge help to us on this and giving a lot of her perspective from years of doing it. But starting at 10 p.m. this year, all participants will receive a neurocheck as they complete a lap, and the medical tent's going to be located pretty close to the finish line. So they'll be diverted into the medical tent if the staff believes that they're altered, or suffering in any way. And once they've done that, they'll be released. As you remember from the prior discussion, we've kind of removed the 30-minute time limit from the medical tent. So it'll now be up to the discretion of the senior medical officials on site as to whether you're allowed to continue or not. So you could spend 35 minutes in the medical tent and go ahead and rejoin the race and continue to compete if the medical team advises that that's okay. We'll have additional crew at the start doing a kind of secondary neuro check. And then we'll be doing pit checks throughout the evening on a 2-hour rotation just to make sure that people who've gone to take a nap in their tent are not suffering, freezing, or in need of hydration or other pieces. So we'll start at 10 and go through till 6 o'clock in the morning. So, if you're believed to be in your tent, somebody will stop by, kind of, ask for a verbal acknowledgement that you're in and that you're okay. And they may enter the tent if they don't get an acknowledgement that you're doing all right in there.
Sometimes people leave the race, before it's over. They leave in the middle of the night, they get too cold, or they get injured, and they say, you know what, I'm done. There's a new checkout process for those guys.
Yeah, so this came up as a learning from last year. We saw a lot more people, obviously, due to the cold, leave overnight last year than we have in the past. And we wanted to make sure that we had a mechanism to be able to account for them, to make sure that they were okay, and to give them their non-finisher headband and shirt as they were exiting the site and kind of headed off to their hotel. So the same tent that people check in from this year will end up being the checkout, and we'll call it early swag distribution area. That they'll be able to stop by on their way out. We'll, confirm that they're leaving, collect their timing chip. They'll get their non-finisher headband and their shirt. And then there'll be an additional medical check there just to make sure that they're safe to drive or that they have an appropriate, pit crew member to help transport them. And if they're not, registered for the brunch on Monday, they'll be able to get their legacy bib and their Holy Grail item there as well.
I don't know if it's common, but I know I've thought about taking a nap out there on the course. Not last year; it was too cold, but it's a good way to keep track of people.
Yeah, no, it's important for us to make sure that we've got a kind of capture on everybody and we know where everybody is, and that if you're leaving in the middle of the night to come back, go to your hotel and sleep, that we've accounted for you and we know that you're all right. So we spent a lot of time searching around for people last year that we were concerned about. That turned out they were back in the hotel taking a nice warm shower and a long nap.
Okay, that's a lot of information. We are looking forward to World's Toughest Mudder. Is there anything not on the that we have not talked about that we should talk about?
No, just more updates coming in the next few weeks. So stay tuned for more information about pit selection and the particular process there. The application deadline for contender status waivers is coming up on October 18th, and you want to make sure you hit that deadline to be able to get early access to pre-event pit selection. And puzzle pieces may start emerging at any time, Will. So keep an eye on Tough Mudder social channel.
The course map puzzle piece is always a highlight of the build-up to the race.
Well, let's just say that maybe a few more puzzle pieces this year than we've had in the past.
So a little more work required to see what's coming up.
Something like that.
Kyle, thanks for making the time. How can people sign up for World's Toughest Mudder?
Registration is still open, toughmudder.com or toughmudder.co.uk for your UK listeners. Head to the World's Toughest Mudder page. We are seeing a good amount of sign-up volume still coming through, so people are still making that decision to commit and popping in on a daily basis. So this is a year you're not going to want to miss out on.
Kyle McLaughlin, thanks much.
All right, thanks, Will.
Special thanks to Kyle McLaughlin for appearing on the show. Well done, Kyle. Come back anytime. Kyle has the same champions exemption as Amelia Boone and Ryan Atkins. Come on the show whenever they want. We didn't end up talking about legacy bibs. If World's Toughest Mudder 2019 is your 5th World's Toughest Mudder or higher, you can get a special bib, a legacy bib. And that will give you an earlier check-in for your pit time. What do you think about all these announcements? 2.5 mile quick pit party with coach every lap? Come on. Shoot me an email, willhicks@gmail.com. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Cannot wait to see you in Atlanta. I will talk with you soon. Go spend time with someone you love.